Blade is such a weird situation. I've never seen a movie that everyone wants to see get made constantly have some ridiculous factor holding it back. Everything from scripts being rewritten, actors dropping out, and constantly cycling their directors. This should be the easiest Marvel project ever made. You have a talented actor who's not only passionate about the character, but also heavily involved in the pre-production process, on top of a concept that has had success before. This should be a home run. Yet here we are 5 years after the announcement, only for the project to currently not have a director. Only thing we have set in stone is the logo. So who's to blame? Well, Marvel Studios and their mismanagement. It's common knowledge at this point that the MCU has been on a downward spiral since 2019. Film bros with a microphone all around the world will tell you that.
Fans being fired from projects because they are just scared of going against the woke.
This nigga is almost 50, mind you. Increasing their output of movies and the introduction of Disney Plus exclusive streaming shows have done nothing but hurt their productions. You'll have directors that are hired to be figureheads for these movies, while leaving the actual job of directing to the studio. Then you have VFX artists who are underpaid and rushed with the quick turnaround needed for these shows and movies. Half the time, these are being shot without a finalized script, so the time that could be spent on polishing effects or compositions are instead spent on making whatever coverage they shot into something coherent. And that by itself shines light on the bigger issue of having these release dates set without a director or even a script selected for the movie. All that to say that Marvel Studios is not a film production company. They are content creators churning out things to fill up their categories on Disney Plus. I'm glad that Marshala is so involved because otherwise this could have taken an even worse turn. There were reports that one version of the script had Blade as the fourth lead in his own movie. How does it even get to that point? If the same people can turn Guardians of the Galaxy into a household name and conceptualize a fucking Ant-Man movie 3 times, then having a vampire hunter shouldn't be that out of the realm of possibility. If done right, Blade can return some of the individuality that these movies have lost over the years. They can have a movie that has a reason to be rated R, and not just for raunchy jokes like Deadpool and Wolverine will more likely be. The constant setbacks just gives me the feeling that Disney doesn't want to make this movie. I say that because, well, look at them. They're scrambling to introduce as many new faces they can in time for the next Ensemble Avengers movie, and maybe they feel like Blade just doesn't have a role there. Hell, look at Fantastic Four for example. Fantastic Four and Blade were basically announced at the same exact time, and in the span of 5 years, Fantastic Four has all 4 main characters cast, they have a writer's room, and they also have a director. Blade doesn't have a lick of that. Let's take a look at where Marvel was in 2019. They were at the top of their game. They had movies coming out constantly that were complete bangers, at least in the box office sense. And then they were able to have the luxury of announcing all these projects and having people hyped up for it. Fast forward a few years, they don't have that same luxury anymore. Blade was announced at a point where both the general audience and the fans of the MCU were completely behind them. Now, in 2024, it's not quite like that anymore. Things have changed. Marvel says that they're trying to focus more on quality and not so much on quantity anymore, but is that really the case? They're trying to play it super safe by having expected casting choices like Pedro Pascal as Mr. Fantastic, which it should have been Rahul Kohli. I'm not bitter, I'm just right. And their other method is to capitalize on nostalgia like they're doing with Deadpool and Wolverine, and even with No Way Home especially. The past couple years have shown me one thing. These movies aren't made for comic fans or even fans of the earlier MCU phases. They're made for investors. Unique and creative visions aren't the priority here, and at this point, they probably never will be.